Hey everybody, it's Davis with the Results team, and I hope you're doing well today. I am fortunate enough to be joined today by a good friend and our preferred insurance vendor, Joe Aiello with the Riddick Insurance Company. Joe, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely, Davis. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you coming. So just have some quick questions that I wanted to run through to discuss the impacts of insurance, especially homeowners insurance, and how the coronavirus is impacting that world. And so I appreciate you being the expert here and giving us insight on this. First, I just want to know, what impacts has homeowner insurance in that world have you seen due to COVID-19?
Yeah, the home insurance side of it hasn't really been affected as badly as well, not badly, but it really hasn't been impacted as much as the car insurance side. The home insurance side, obviously, if you have a claim or something like that, companies are still taking all the precautions that they need to do as far as, safety when they need to come on site and things like that. But as far as rates and things of that nature, really hasn't impacted that at all.
Okay, good. And I know you guys work with a few different companies. How are the majority of the companies that you work with, how are they responding to COVID-19?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on the car insurance side is really where we've seen the impact because of the fact that there's been a lot of reduced usage of vehicles and things of that nature. And so as a result, there's been a number of different ways that companies have responded. For people that have difficulties with employment and things like that, where they might have been impacted financially, a number of companies have either deferred payments if needed and requested, or things of that nature. They're not going away from the payment, but they have given the customer some flexibility to have those things. So obviously, just reach out to your carrier directly, because that's varying from carrier to carrier. And then a number of companies have then responded by giving a give back or a dividend or things like that, where they've given some premium back. We have a list of the top 12 in terms of market share for the country for car insurance, and we represent two of those companies on the list, and both of those have both given back premiums. One of those is Progressive. They've given back 20% of the 2 months, so basically April and May. And then Erie is the other one, and they've also given back as well 30% over the course of 2 months. But then another thing that was really kind of neat was Erie actually went above and beyond, and in addition to giving that give back, they actually filed with the state for a rate reduction for the following term. It obviously varies from customer to customer, but it averages about 5% for the following term. So they were the only company out of the top 12 that did that. Which was fantastic. So really, when you look at it, and you start to do the math on a lot of the givebacks, most companies were averaging somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5% to 3%, whereas Erie's coming in on average around 10%. So that was fantastic to see that. But every company's responding in a little bit different way, but that typically is about the way that most companies are responding.
That's wonderful. And so the best piece of advice, to make sure you're taking advantage of all of those things, is to reach out to the company and make sure that you're getting that. I know personally I have Erie, and they have been wonderful through this time, and I appreciate them doing that.
Another thing that the customer can do would be to reach out to their agent to make sure that the usage on the vehicles is correct on there.
Okay.
Most people are going to be commuting back and forth to work every day. So maybe your commute is, 10 or 15 miles, but now it's been reduced to 10 or 15 feet. Obviously, you're not using your vehicle. And so you'd want to go ahead and reach out to your agent, just, give them the heads up that, hey, I'm working from home full time now, and they can reduce that usage. And a lot of times that will reduce the cost as well. Even if it's no more than just a couple of months, you're getting a true rate in terms of what you actually should be paying based on the usage.
Okay, good advice. I appreciate that. To follow up on the lower commute, obviously the majority of people are now working from home if they're able to, and we so greatly appreciate the people who are essential and are going out to work. But for those who are working from home, Joe, maybe they have a computer that they brought from the office home, or maybe they have additional equipment at home. Is there anything they need to do to add coverage there?
So I would definitely respond by reaching out to their employer to make sure that the employer is aware of whatever's covered on the business policy. Most employers are going to have some sort of a business policy that's going to cover not only the liability side of the business, but also if they own their building, the building, as well as all of the business property that the business owns. And so just making sure that the business holder has taken care of that to make sure that they understand, hey, if something happens where my house catches on fire, you have coverage for these, laptops and printers and scanners and all of this other stuff. In the event that it's somebody that's, like you or I, where we're self-employed, you have some coverage for business property, but it's not a lot on your home policy. So most of the time when you're self-employed, again, looking at potentially having a business policy if you have a good amount of concern there as far as business property. But the most important thing is just check with your agent and have them read through your jacket with you and see what coverage you have for coverage on site of residence versus off site. There's a little bit more coverage on site than there is off site usually.
Got it. Okay, understand. Well, and so keeping with that, if say you are self-employed and you have additional equipment at home, or even if you're not, but you have a little more time at home and maybe you haven't done it, is it important, Joe, to have an inventory list of personal items that you do have in your home that may fall under that coverage?
Yeah, the biggest thing would be the big ticket items. Obviously, you don't need to count how many forks you have and things like that.
Sure.
But, anytime that you buy a new big ticket item, just get in the habit of jotting that down, or having some sort of a cloud-based system to record keep would be a fantastic idea. I use Evernote, and so every time I get a big ticket item like a TV purchase or, a printer, and even something as small as a printer, I just take the receipt and I scan it, and I take a picture of any kind of serial numbers, and I just drop that in a note. And then that way, if something does happen, I've got my proof of purchase and everything like that. It just makes it a lot easier for the adjuster if you can kind of justify what you had, because it's very hard for an adjuster to justify a claim when you say you had 17 Gucci bags and 14 iPads and things like that. It's a lot easier to prove that if you have the proof of purchase and serial numbers and things like that can be verifiable. It just makes it a lot easier. In addition, one of the great things to do, especially now when we have technology, is, we've got such a great record keeping device right here. Sure. Where you can just take that as my phone begins to ring. You can just take that and do a little tour of your house and take several videos and just, hey, this is the living room video, this is the kitchen video, and just kind of narrate that, hey, here's the 65-inch television that we bought at Best Buy in 2017. We spent approximately this much. And then that way, what you're doing is when you do have a fire, for example, and you're in a bad spot emotionally, you can pull those videos up, and when you're making a list for the adjuster, you can watch those and see, oh, that's right, we also had that clock on the wall, or we had that toaster. I forgot to put the toaster, because they're only going to give you what you list on that list. And so you've got a lot of coverage for personal belongings. So the more that you can itemize, the more you're accurately going to represent what you should be paid.
Got it. So that may be a good project to do with some extra time at home. It sounds like something we would normally miss and not take advantage of, but now that we have this time at home, we should definitely
take an evening and go slow and just do a quick 360 of the room, but again, just go slow and take your time, and then just drop those in Dropbox or Evernote or Google Photos or something, and that way if something ever happens, it's all cloud-based and stored off-site.
Got it. Wonderful. Well, Joe, is there anything in regards to coronavirus and the impacts it's having on the insurance world, or just insurance world in general, that maybe I should have asked and haven't, or something that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, we've seen a couple of things. One is, as I mentioned, the claims process has been pretty seamless. We haven't seen any delays there when it comes to handling home insurance claims with adjusters and having to be on site. That seems to be pretty seamless. One of the cool things that we have seen is we've seen some companies that have kind of waived some requirements when it comes to life insurance as a result, because people don't want to get medical exams and things like that. And so we've seen a lot of companies that have just made offers that are a little bit more conservative in pricing as far as what tier you're going to qualify for. But for those that are worried about the examiner coming into the house and things like that, they have made some offers where they said, well, we'll insure you up to this amount without having to do the medical underwriting as far as a physical. So that's been kind of cool to see that, and I think that will hopefully be a trend going forward. where for somebody they can, still get coverage at a little bit more conservative health tier, but still get it without that worry. Because we see a lot of customers that just don't want to get a physical, they don't want to get the blood draw or whatever, and so this would be a lot easier on that side. But other than that, it's really been business as usual. A lot of calls with, how's my company responding, and I need to change my car insurance stuff. But other than that, it's really been pretty seamless.
Awesome. Well, Joe, I really appreciate you joining us, and I know people can reach out directly to us to contact you, but and we'll have your information in the email as well. But do you mind sharing the best way to reach you?
Absolutely. The best number to reach me on is my cell phone number, and that's 919-827-6538, and I can touch base with me there, and I'm happy to run some comparative numbers with what you have now to see if whether what you have is good or whether you have something that could be potentially improved upon.
Okay, awesome. Well, like I said, this is Joe Aiello from the Riddick Insurance Group. And Joe, I really appreciate you joining us. As I said, Joe is one of our preferred vendors and our go-to insurance man. And so we really appreciate you joining us and providing some clarity on the impacts of coronavirus and insurance.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Take care.